G'day and welcome to this Australian Open Live and this special episode of the Spotlight series, putting a spotlight on the wildcards that have been announced over the last few days. Just filling you in on how things are going to unfold in this episode of this Australian Open Live. We'll just give you the name of the tournament. There won't be too much information packed onto the screen for you to watch out for. We'll just give you the name of the player, a few brief stats just indicating how their form was leading into the Australian summer, how they went during 2021, which might give some insights into why they've been awarded a wildcard, their reaction for the wildcard entry and how they think it'll help their chances for the Australian summer. So we'll try and keep this as short and sharp as possible for you because we've got a lot of information to get through. And if you're interested in any of the other players in any of the other tournaments, it'll be easy to find. Just look for our wildcards playlist or our NewsBites bulletin for the channel. We'll take a short 60-second break. Don't go away, we'll be right back. All right, that's the intro. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us again. It's great to have your company. Really appreciate you taking time out of your Christmas, New Year's break to tune in to this Australian Open Live. And today we're shining a spotlight on the Melbourne Somerset event, the WTA Tour. Today we'll be releasing simultaneously the ATP episode and two, not one, but two WTA episodes, as there are two WTA 250 tournaments played concurrently during the Melbourne Somerset, and as it turns out that there is a lot of players to get through, and to put all the WTA players in the one episode, it'd probably go for nearly an hour or 45 minutes at the very least, and that'd just be unfair to load you up with such a big episode. So we're going to split into two. They're running concurrently and almost exactly the same information. So remember, keep your ears open because there'll be very little information on screen except for the name of the players, the wildcard details, their ranking, a little bit of information about their 2021 form. Maybe we'll dip into a bio for the players because there's hardly any information about the achievements of these girls from the Tennis Australia website, which is quite disappointing could be one word used by some, surprising could be another. All we'll say here at this Australian Open Life is, considering that Tennis Australia is pumping up this tournament as celebrating 100 years of women's tennis at the Australian Open, it would have been nice for them to pump up the achievements of these wildcards a little bit more. But anyway, we'll get into it. So the first WTA 250 for this episode, and remember we're just focusing on one, the wildcards given out to these female players from Australia, and also the qualifying wildcards. So we'll just quietly go through those. There's two players being awarded wildcards into the main draw of the Australian Open, into the main draw of this WTA 250 tournament. Apologies there. Astra Sharma She won her maiden WTA title in 2021 and also recorded her first year-end top 100 finish. So great work, well done to Astra Sharma. Her ranking is 101. She plays right-handed. She was born in Singapore actually. In 2021, her last two tournaments, she retired in the round of 64 at Indian Wells in California. The BNP Paribas Open, retired at 4-3 in the first set. Her opponent from Russia, Daria Kasatinka, ranked 30. And immediately before that, Astra was playing in the qualifying second round at the J&T Banka Ostrava Open in Czechoslovakia in Ostrava. And she also went down in two sets there, 4-6, 3-6, to the world ranked 222 Russian Anastasia Zakharova. Just looking at Astra's bio here, that she's majored in Medicine, Health and Society at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee. So obviously went over there on a scholarship, and her nickname at college, the Americans nicknamed her Rue. Lizette Cabrera has been awarded the second wild card for this first WTA 250 tournament that we're reviewing today. Lizette Cabrera has been she's been around for a while on the tour. She's only 24 years of age, but she's been chipping away, a right-handed player, ranked 174 in the world. And her most recent matches in 2021, she had we're just working backwards chronologically here. She got to the quarterfinal of the Dow Tennis Classic, Midlands, United States, Michigan. I hope it wasn't too cold up there for Lizette. She lost in the quarterfinal. Man, she got pumped. 6-love, 6-love by the American Madison Brengle, who, as I'm looking at it here, she was the top seed in that tournament, the American. And the immediate tournament before that was an ITF tour in Austin, Texas, where Matthew McConaughey's just launched his new soccer team. He's the Minister of Culture for that Texas team that started last season. But back on the tennis, that Lizette made the round of 16, losing to another American, Taylah Day, ranked 418 in the world, and she lost in 3 sets. She lost 1-6, 6-4, 1-6. So just not quite getting a run going there. Her background there, she's got a Filipino background, Lizette. Her favourite shot is the down-the-line forehand. I'll tell you what, when they come off, they look fantastic. With the career highlights, in 2019, Lizette had a third successive top 150 finish in the rankings, but she fell in tour-level qualifying on 7 occasions, including the Australian Open and the US Open. But on the ITF circuit in 2019, and remember, this is all before COVID stopped us all in our tracks, 2019 on the ITF circuit, Lizette won 3 singles titles and 2 doubles titles. So she really had a great head of steam going there. Now we're just going to go into the qualifying wild cards given out, but before we do that, we're just going to take a short 60-second break, take a look at our qualifying teaser, the official teaser for this Australian Open Live, and also during this episode you're going to see some match highlights, the start of some matches that we've attended in Bendigo, Traralgon and the Victorian Wheelchair Open. Don't go away, we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Thanks for joining us again on this Australian Open Life. You're listening to The Bloke Who Walks, and we're going through the first episode of the wildcards given out for the first WTA 250 tournament at the Melbourne Somerset. What a mouthful. So 3 players were awarded qualifying wildcards. So the idea there is that by being given a qualifying wildcard, if you can win through that qualifying, you enter the main draw of that particular 250 tournament, and sometimes you can be a lucky loser as well. Now, 3 players have been awarded qualifying wildcards, and unfortunately not much information here from Tennis Australia, but we'll go beyond that. But Kimberly Birrell, Taylah Preston and Zoe Hives. Birrell and Hives are both returning from long injury layoffs, and Taylah Preston is a 16-year-old player set to make her WTA level debut at this tournament. So well done, Taylah Preston. And if I had done my research properly, I'd be remembering or digging into the news items that came out the last couple of days. Taylah Preston actually had a big win. I'm pretty sure it was in Adelaide. So if I don't mention it during this episode, it'll come up in a news bite, because it's a fantastic achievement for a 16-year-old. And it reminds me, showing my age, reminds me of all those fantastic players, teenage players, prodigies that were littering the WTA tour throughout the early 80s into the mid-80s. Who were just sweeping everything in their path at every tournament. So we'll just go through these 3 players. So the first wild card given out to Kimberly Birrell. She's currently ranked 664 in the world. She's 23, plays right-handed. She was born in Dusseldorf in Germany, believe it or not. So I'm giggling because I'm just remembering one of my favourite lines from my favourite movies, Where Eagles Dare, but we won't go there. In 2021, Kimberly finished off the year with a couple of losses, but making progress. And remember that she's had a long injury layoff. So she did play the Adelaide International last February. That was her last outing in 2021. She had a loss at the Adelaide International in qualifying round 1. Losing in straight sets, 3-6, 2-6, to a Russian ranked 117 in the world, Ludmila Samsonova. And immediately before that, she played the Phillip Island Trophy. No prizes for guessing where that was played. She made the round of 16 in the main draw, finally losing to the 4th seed from Croatia, Petra Martic, ranked at that time 18 in the world. A straight sets loss there for Kimberly Birrell, 1-6, 3-6. And just looking into her bio there, that her career highlights. In 2016, she was the top-seeded finalist in Hobart with the player named Wolf. Enjoys reading, watching movies, hanging out at the beach, and with her dogs and fish. I wonder if she takes the fish down to the beach. Next up is the 16-year-old WTA tour-level debutante, Taylah Preston. And as you'd expect, very light on details there, so I'm sorry that I can't tell you much more about Taylor's background. She's got a pretty scant details there in the WTA profile. Just looking down into her ITF results, she last played in March 2020 before COVID, so it makes sense that she's had a big break. So rather than dip into her 2020 run results, because there's not any there, let's just have a sneak peek into the crystal ball and see how she actually went at the tournament, the WTA 250, in the qualifying draw as entry as a wild card. She had a win in the first round against the Italian, Sara Arani. She won in 3 sets. Great result. Good mental resilience there. 7-5, 2-6, 6-3. She lost in the next round to a well-known player on the ITF WTA circuit, Destiny Ieva. And big things are still expected of Destiny. She's probably only just around the age of 18 as well. Destiny won the Australian, beating Taylah, the 16-year-old. So experience may be counting there. 4-6, 4-6, straight sets loss. And at the moment, it looks like for the Australian Open, Taylah is playing in the qualifying draw. Her first round will be against Kurumi Nara of Japan. Now, I can tell you that Kurumi Nara popped up last week when we went to cover the Traralgon tournament. I'm pretty sure Kurumi Nara made it through to the second or third round from memory. So apologies for those light details, but as you expect for a 16-year-old, she's got a huge career in front of her, hopefully. The final wild card we're reviewing for this particular episode is Zoe Hives, ranked 626 in the world. And as we mentioned, Zoe also has had a pretty long time off the circuit, and then probably compounded by, no doubt, the COVID situation. So Zoe, 626 in the world, as we said. She's also pretty light on for details, but background-wise, but her last competitive year was 2019, so probably won't have any bearing on how she goes, has gone at this WTA 250. But you know, for just the sake of the exercise, let's just take a look at how she was going before this long extended break. Well, she did pretty well. In her last 2 competitive tournaments, September 2019, 2 tournaments there. So the most recent one in Darwin, she made the quarterfinal of the ITF tournament in Darwin. She lost in the quarterfinal to another Australian, Abby Myers, in straight sets, 2-6, 4-6. And immediately before that, she had a really good run into the round of 16 at the Hana Cupid Japan Women's Open Tennis Championships in Hiroshima, would you believe? Finally going down to the local Masaki Doi of Japan, 107 in the world at that time in 2019, September 2019, losing in rather mixed fashion. It was she lost 1-6, 6-1, 3-6. So she had her chance after coming back in the second set. Did Zoe Hives. So we'll wrap those up there. We'll just briefly revisit that. Announced on the 30th of December, there was a pretty schmick field announced for this particular WTA 250 tournaments. The Grand Slam, 3 Grand Slam champions. Naomi Osaka pulled out with a stomach muscle injury in the end. Emma Raducanu, the British US Open champion, I think she also pulled out possibly. And a very well-known player, used to be coached by South Australia's Darren Cale actually until recently, Simona Halep, who actually admitted recently that she just had a few, she just had to tune up her mental game. She was saying would really help her get back in the groove of things into the 2022 season. So she's a great player, Simona. She's a really hard nut on the court, so we wish her all the best. So that about wraps it up. Hope you enjoyed that very rudimentary summary. I'm not going to pat myself on the back about the quality of this episode. It was really just about bringing together all those names of all those players and just letting you know that that's where things are at. Because you know, we live in a digital age, but it's actually sometimes not that easy to find all this information. And the Christmas, New Year's break, I mean, who wants to spend all their time looking at endless streams of apps and websites, and so let us do all the hard work for you. That's what we're here for, and it's so very much appreciated that we're finding out that from most of the viewers, whether it's by comments or likes or subscriptions, that this Australian Open Life is hitting the mark for you. You've been listening to The Bloke Who Walks. This was our Wildcards episode of the Spotlight series. Have a great new year. Thanks for listening, and we'll chat to you very soon. Bye for now. Based in Melbourne, Australia, this Australian Open Life is produced by Wise Words Media and Calumny Films.